The Arizona Cardinals may not be in the NFL playoffs currently, but we are learning so much about what their future could look like and how grim it could be in the NFC West moving forward, even more so than it already is. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. Hope everybody's enjoying the nice weather in Arizona. Hope everybody is enjoying watching the playoffs sans the Arizona Cardinals, because that's what this team needs to look like if they want to compete with the best teams in the NFC, and they are not quite close. It's been a grim reminder. There's a lot to discuss today, okay? The Cardinals need to run their own race. We had this conversation at the end of the 2022 season. It's really unfortunate we're having to have it again, but we are. It's an uphill battle in the NFC West, baby, moving forward, even more so than it already is. It's only going to get more difficult, which means this offseason needs to be as close to perfect as possible. And it starts with my vision after this weekend's wild card round. Robert Saleh is the guy, if they can get him here to coach the Arizona Cardinals in 2026 and beyond. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. What Robert Saleh has done with the criminally and severely undermanned 49ers defense is enough for me to see that he rises above the top. He rises above the rest. And I know that the Cardinals coaching vacancy is towards the cellar of the 7 that are open. And I know that it's going to take a lot to get him here. It's going to take a lot for him to want to come here. And it's going to, it's going to take some money. And it's going to be like, well, Robert, do you want to go against the 49ers twice a year? Do you want to go against the Seahawks and the Rams twice a year? Or do you want to go somewhere else with a little bit of an easier division? I know all that. I also know that you probably should go offensive-minded head coach. I get it all. And there are a couple offensive guys that, pique my interest. But if you're going to go the defensive route, it must be Robert Saleh. He's coaching. He's not hoping his players play well. This is what coaching the defensive side of the ball looks like when you've got practice squad guys out there. Rookies, second-year guys, UDFAs. This is what you want the specific culture of your defense to be. Truly, next man up. Truly, it doesn't matter who's out there, will produce. And it's not been perfect. Okay, they were leaky during parts of this season for sure. But what they did going on the road in Philly and dominating, by and large, dominating this game. No Nick Bosa, no Fred Warner, no wide receiver 1 or tight end 1 now outside of Christian McCaffrey, where it's like, the excuse I would make or the reason I think is, well, the offense can't run the ball, so they're 3 and outing, which is putting strain on the defense, which is yielding them scoring a lot of points or giving up a lot of points to opposing offenses. That's what I said all year this year, namely after the bye. And Robert Saleh looks at that, he urinates on it and says, that's an excuse. And I said, yes, sir, it is. It sure looks like an excuse now. Thank you for putting me in line. And while there are many candidates that could be very beneficial for this team, that would be very beneficial for this team, for the Cardinals, I feel like you got a guy in Robert Saleh who's already gone the dysfunctional route. He's already had checks signed by Woody Johnson. He had the Aaron Rodgers experience for a bit, but they had a really good defense. And they had talented young pieces in key spots, Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner, like Will Johnson, Walter Nolan, not comparing, just saying, the trajectory is not opposite for those corners and interior defensive linemen alike. and you could bring Nick Corrales back, and you put his brain with Robert Saleh's leadership and his brain defensively, woo. Because I think that's where I'm at now. I think that's where I'm at on the search, because I understand that offensive-minded head coaches win Super Bowls. Get it. I get it. And I trust if it were somebody like Robert Saleh taking over this defense for them to level up to top 10 overnight, in so many words. Top third overnight, in so many words, barring injuries and things like that. It comes with territory. You can't fake what Robert Saleh is doing right now. It's not like he's an offensive coordinator who has a good run and then is a bad coach, a bad head coach. They won more games than they should have in East Rutherford. They had no quarterback play and things like that. That Jacoby Brissett will be the worst option that you've got for the Cardinals, which will be a bonus for Robert Saleh. You've got Trey McBride. You've got Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. You'll have some sort of semblance of a run game. It's already there. So what I'd rather do is see this team clamp down defensively to where it gives you a little bit more wiggle room offensively. Because if you've got a middling offense and a bad defense, you're going to pick in the top 5 every year. But if you've got a really good defense and it takes you a little bit of time to figure out what the hell your offense is with what could be a first-time play caller, an offensive coordinator, the anchor is there and it keeps you in games more than if you go the offensive route and it just doesn't work. And it just doesn't work. So, yeah, you're hedging a little bit. And, yeah, you'd probably want an offensive-minded guy there if you're looking at what the script to win looks like now in this day and age. But the Cardinals are so far away from competing like that maybe hedging for now is better to keep them in games and have them win games and maybe sneak into the playoffs. If they hire Clint Kubiak, if they hire another one of these Mike McCarthy, whatever, fine. You just need a competent body now. I will go into this more tomorrow, or Wednesday, because I think I'm going to get a Robert Saleh deep dive tomorrow. Vance Joseph being the odds-on favorite to land the Cardinals job terrifies me. We're going to do this again? I can't. For my sanity and this content, I can't just say, well, the Cardinals have lost and they'll always lose, and that's what it's going to be. End show. Can't do it. For people that have been around for decades and decades, it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long. If you've been a Cardinals fan for 20 years, you get it. If you've been a Cardinals fan for 50 years, bless your heart. If you've been a Cardinals fan for longer, you deserve a plaque or a watch or something. You've got to look at the way to break the mold. And if you're not going to land a top candidate, and Robert Saleh is a top candidate, so this could be as far-fetched as John Harbaugh, not by the sheer metric by that length, but it's going to be a long shot. But you can zig while everybody else is zagging, and you can maximize your talent on defense, and you've got a full offseason with free agency and the draft and money to spend. You bring in an OC who sees the power of this offense and has a scheme fit that could work for everybody involved, including Marv. I'm almost leaning towards that now, as opposed to bringing in a first-time coordinator to be the head coach on offense and just hope that the defensive coordinator can hold it at bay. If you've got a good defense, you've got a shot. And they'd have that with Robert Saleh. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. The NFC West is just, it's not even fair. If you didn't watch this weekend, we can talk about it a little bit next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Drip Drop. I've got some of these actually in my cupboard. I had one a couple hours ago to start my day. Kicking off the new year feels good. That's what the goal is, right? And honestly, hydration is the easiest win. When I stay on top of it, my energy, focus, and everything else, my mood on top of others level up. But let's be real. Plain water doesn't always cut it, especially when you're grinding through long days, hitting the gym, or just trying to stay consistent with your health goals. And that's where Drip Drop comes in. Doctor developed, proven fast hydration that helps your body and mind work better. Then clearer focus, better energy, elevated mood, even that fresh skin glow. I've been using it. I got a box of it a couple weeks ago. I've been using it almost every day, and it just helps. It gives you that energy boost. It gives you that feeling of hydration so much quicker than if you were just drinking water. Drip Drop's science-backed formula is trusted by firefighters, medical professionals, and over 90% of college and pro teams because it rehydrates you faster and more effectively than water alone. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com, use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 20% off. Stock up now at dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is also brought to you by Prize Picks. I love Prize Picks. You know I love Prize Picks. You probably love Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into a player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge. But with Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never slows down, and Prize Picks lets you stay in control. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting. Just pick more or less and play your way. Getting started on Prize Picks was quick and simple. App super easy to navigate. Of the flexibility of options with Flex Play, where you can still get paid even if one pick misses, which is super awesome. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button, man. Hit it. So, I was watching in terror this weekend. For those who didn't watch the Rams and Panthers and the 49ers yesterday, I know the Rams and Panthers was a close game. I tweeted out, I will never understand why Kyler Murray couldn't do what Bryce Young does at certain times. He makes things look a lot easier than what Kyler's done. I know Kyler's wildly talented in his own right. It's just watching Bryce Young in the pocket just pissed me off. He's smaller. He's slight. Yet he still can get these throws off in between the tackles among giants. And it irritated me momentarily. I mean, the Rams and the 49ers winning completely different ways, both close games, shows the immovable force nature of both of them. And Seattle's the 1 seed. So you'll see them in San Francisco, I believe, next week. This is tough for the Cardinals, not only because of the dysfunction of the organization in and of itself, not only because of how these last couple seasons have gone outside of the dysfunction up top. The Seahawks and 49ers and Rams it seems so much easier for them. Somebody's hurt, doesn't matter. Turn the ball over, doesn't matter. You're down with a minute and a half left, doesn't matter. They just always find a way to get it done more than they don't. Now, 49ers haven't looked great all year this year. Seahawks stumbled a little bit. The Rams haven't looked great all year. They went through a couple-week patch, but luckily they got to play the Cardinals after both of those games. I know they were, 6 weeks apart or whatever it was, but they always just seem to get it done. They draft players that just work. And that really made me like when there's name after name that I don't know on the 49ers. Name after name that I don't know. Upton Stout. Is that dude an all-pro already for the Rams? Mid-round pick? Or he's with the 49ers, sorry. He's with one of them. I had this crisis of conscience, not like internal, but like not about me, but looking at this team with the Cardinals is like, are we glorifying little things that other teams don't even notice because that's just what they do? That's just what their SOP is. That's just what their production level is. It's like, oh, Will Johnson had one good game. Will Johnson had 3 good games. He's going to be the next one. And then you see these 5th-round picks come out of nowhere, third stringers, when somebody gets hurt, and they're like, oh, they're starting now. Oh, they're starting now. And they're probably going to be Pro Bowlers. That's why when I talk about Robert Saleh, it's like, because of and I know that they play 11 games outside of the division. So I know that just because they're in the NFC West doesn't mean that that's the steel wall that they can't get through. But it's just a little disheartening to just see it just in your face. Other organizations thriving that you have to play twice a year. They got 3 of the best head coaches in the division. McDonald, McVay, Shanahan. So this just means that while nothing is uncircumventable in the NFL, okay, you've got schedule shifts, strengths, all that stuff, even though the Cardinals have a top 5 strength of schedule again as it sits now, even though they weren't supposed to, probably because of the NFC West. They've got to figure out the way to maneuver so they can hedge it a little bit, as I said in the first segment. And I think going defensive-minded head coach is the way to do it. Got to get the right one. You got to get the right OC. And understood, well, all these things need to happen. It's like, yeah, it's going to be difficult to do it. For sure it's going to be difficult. For sure. But that's the way where they're going to be able to be relevant in 2026. That's the way they're going to be relevant. Trey McBride, first team All-Pro, 49 out of 50 votes, obviously should have been unanimous. Wonder if it was the other vote went to George Kittle, so I wonder if it was media member from Northern California that wanted to screw everything up, but good for him. Denzel Burke, all-rookie team. Tip of the cap to the young man. I feel like the defense with another draft cycle, maybe they'll add a pass rusher. Needs more guidance to be elite when you have a guy like Trey McBride anchoring the offense already. And it's close, okay? We kind of don't know which way is up with this team on either side of the ball because you don't know who's going to be calling the plays. You don't know if it's going to be offensive-minded, defensive-minded head coach. You don't know if Nick Rollitt's going to be back, Drew Petzing's going to be gone. Like, you don't know a lot of things. So what the Cardinals need to do is take the best head coach option from one side of the ball and go with that. And I said last week that it's like, somebody comment, this is one of the best comments I've ever seen. I just watched 30 minutes and you said nothing. I was like, thank you. Reminded me of the Billy Madison thing. We are now dumber. And everybody, they need to figure out what the most important side of the ball is and go find the best coach for that. You can't, teeter-totter on the fence here. I think it should be the defense because if you have a good defense, you can win games. If you have a good defense, you can win games. And when you go up against the likes of Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, specifically on offense, you need a good defense. You need a good defense. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This is the KISS method to what the Cardinals need to do this offseason. Not listen to the noise, not look at what I just discussed for the last 10 minutes with the other teams thriving in the division, and just find that next step to insert the right coach and the right coordinators for this roster to be able to allow them to get back into positive town that we saw for, a little bit over the last couple of years. I'll discuss that next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The new year doesn't require a new you, maybe just a less burdened you. We all carry things that weigh us down or hold us back, and therapy can help you identify with those things by offering an unbiased perspective to better understand your relationships, motivations, and emotions. That's where BetterHelp comes in, making it easy to get matched online with a qualified therapist who can help you work through what's holding you back. Maybe it's fear, pressure, fear of being a perfectionist, or doubt that's been, weighing on you. All BetterHelp therapists are fully licensed in the U.S. and work according to a strict code of conduct. They do the matching for you. So if you don't like a therapist, then you could switch to another one pretty simply. With over 30,000 therapists and an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 based on over 1.7 million client reviews, BetterHelp has served over 5 million people globally, and it works. BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched online with a qualified therapist. So sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/lockedon. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is also brought to you by Bink. Game time. NFL wrapping up. NBA here. And there's nothing better like being at the game. Crowd noise, energy, cheering alongside other fans. Watching at home is great, but being in the stadium hits different. And the frustrating part has always been getting tickets, waiting in line, dealing with logins, watching prices change right at checkout. That's why the Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's a hack for unlocking amazing NBA tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Like, say you want to go watch Suns game. They're super fun this year. Check out the Game Time app. If you want to sit in a section and row you've never sat in before, you can see on the app where all the open seats are with the prices according to them. And you could click on, be like, oh, I haven't sat in this section before. Click on it. And when you open it up, it'll give you the vantage point that you'll see from the seats before you buy it. So you don't have to guess what the actual vantage point will be, which is totally awesome. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today and get back to being there live. Please go to the YouTube channel. Hit subscribe so you can see my big dumb face. It's fun, right? Yeah. It was disheartening this weekend. It was disheartening. And you thought this year was a year where they were going to be able to compete. And listen, I guess they didn't. 0-6 in the NFC West, not great. Couldn't be worse. Couldn't be worse. Now, here's your after school special segment when it comes to what the Cardinals need to do this offseason. Not compare themselves to anybody else. This is truly starting from square one again. Luckily the roster's better, naturally. They had, I wonder, and leave in the comments, I wonder if the Cardinals are further away now because there were expectations going into next year, like national expectations, like, well, this is a team that can surprise people, and they fall flat. Is it is that always how it's going to be? Is that's going to be in the mind of everybody? So then coaches won't come here to coach? Or do you see how it started? And they're like, well, there were a bunch of injuries, and maybe, the offense wasn't fantastic with Kyler. Kyler Murray went down, and they just couldn't get out of their own way. It's like, oh, I can do something with this. Oh, yeah. The bones are there. And the bones are there. The talent is there. It may not be the best roster in the NFL, but it's got a bunch of young, good talent in really important positions. And you can't say that for every organization. They got to run their own race. I said this going into 2023, I believe. It's like, you can't compare. Sometimes you can. Sometimes it's important to compare, take barometer checks for other teams. And if they're comparable to the Cardinals, or maybe they started in the same spot, maybe they were both, in the cellar of their respective division. Then one took a rise to the top and one didn't. You can compare quarterbacks sometimes, but this is it serves no purpose to compare the Arizona Cardinals to anybody else this offseason. They got to go get the best coach they can get, who will come here and coach. If that's Vance Joseph, yikes. There's a bunch of defensive guys out there. I mean, Brian Flores and, I said Robert Saleh. Like, there are guys out there on the defensive side of the ball who would elevate this defense. And I can attest that Vance Joseph has run a very good defense out in Denver. They've had very good players with Pat Surtain and Zach Allen, former Arizona Cardinal, former Arizona Cardinal good, among many others. Jahdae Barron's played well out there. I just don't know if he'd be a difference maker enough like Robert Saleh would. And I was no Robert Saleh a few weeks ago. Because listen, this is going really quickly. Jonathan Gannon gets fired. It's going really quick, man. There's a lot of moving pieces every day. So yeah, opinions are going to change, especially because the majority of the top flight candidates are going to go elsewhere. Because there are some sneaky, sexy openings here. So they got to run their own race. They got to find the best possible fit for them, whether it be, coupling with Nick Rallis and a new OC or bringing 3 new guys in. After what I saw Robert Saleh do to Philadelphia, regardless of what you think about Jalen Hurts, that was it for me. That clinched it. If you can do that to that offense with that defense down that many players, yeah, he can make magic happen here with this defense. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you tomorrow.